My beloved child, within the silent space of your heart, where it so often longs for an answer, there is a gentle whisper resounding. It is not the echo of the world, but a reminder from the realm of the divine. This world is filled with clamorous sounds, hurried counsel, and conflicting opinions that constantly vie for your attention. Yet among the myriad voices there remains one tone softer than all, a vibration that touches the depths of your soul, awakening you to the truth that you are not a wanderer without direction in this life. You are one who has been called, one who has been chosen to walk a path prepared long before a journey, where every milestone carries, meaning every trial bears value, and every moment is carefully woven into the plan of the one who fashioned the universe. My child, yesterday you missed a sign. It was not a fleeting accident nor a random occurrence that came and passed away. It was a message, a reminder, sent from above, arranged at just the right moment to open your eyes and awaken your soul before the coming days unfold with many challenges. You did not recognize it, for the hurried current of life drowned out the sound of revelation. Perhaps your mind was bound by the burdens of work, family, and duty. Perhaps fear, uncertainty, or weariness veiled your heart so that you no longer held enough stillness to listen. But remember this, the sign was not in vain. It still resounds, still leaves its echo in the sacred atmosphere around you like a bell, reminding you that I am here, that I am still speaking, and that I have never abandoned you. Do you see, this life continually places us at crossroads where emotion and reason wrestle for control. Emotion, a precious gift I have given, can bring color to life, enabling you to marvel at beauty, to ache at injustice, to yearn for love, and to be loved. Yet emotion must never sit upon the throne of guidance. If you let it rule, it will lead you into tangled paths, pushing you to decide in haste, only to leave you with regret over long-lasting consequences. In contrast, reason, when illuminated by truth, is the lamp to your feet. But reason is not meant to suppress emotion. Rather, it restores it to its rightful place as a fabric that enriches life, not as the rudder steering the vessel of your destiny. It is written in Scripture, "The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it?" Jeremiah 1:7-9. This word reminds you that the impulses rising within the human heart often do not reflect reality. They may be distorted by fear, by memories of hurt, or by fleeting desires. That is why you must learn the art of discernment, to pause, to be silent, to place every stirring of your soul under the light of the Word, to test what truly comes from me and what is only the echo of self. Train yourself to bring every impression into prayer. Do not rush into decisions when your heart is in turmoil. Do not allow anger, jealousy, or loneliness to dictate your steps. Let peace, the peace that surpasses all understanding, become the seal by which you know it is my voice. I know the days ahead will not be easy. Great upheavals are drawing near, and trials will strip bare your faith and endurance. There will be moments when you feel as though you are walking through the night, when every door seems shut, when prayers appear unanswered. In those moments, the enemy will attempt to manipulate your emotions to sow doubt in your heart. Does God truly hear me? Is He truly still at work? But remember, faith is not believing only when all is favorable. It is believing even when the skies are covered with clouds. Faith is the courage to declare, "I trust you, Lord, even when all you see is the night." You are now standing at a crossroads, a turning point that will not only shape your own life, but also touch your family, those you love, and even those you have never met. The choices you make in this season will carry far-reaching consequences, creating ripples beyond what you can presently see. That is why I come to remind you, do not be swayed by the noise of the world. Listen instead for my peace. Trust that I see clearly from the beginning to the end. I know the way that leads to life, the way that leads to abundance, and I am calling you to walk in that direction. Do not think that I am angry because you missed yesterday's sign. On the contrary, I draw near with patience to teach you that the signs I send are never trivial or random. They are part of a perfect design, like pieces of a great picture I am painting. As you learn to recognize and treasure these signs, you will discover that your life is not chaotic, but is being ordered step by a loving and wise hand. Imagine this: there is a continual flow between you and me, not a fragile thread easily broken, but a living stream moving through every dimension. I am in your breath, in the sigh of your weariness, in the quiet joy when you behold something beautiful. I am present in your tears, in the moments you think you are alone, and even when you believe you can no longer hear my voice. Yesterday's sign was meant to remind you that this flow remains, that I am still whispering into your soul. Therefore, do not grieve over what you missed. Let it instead become a reminder to slow down, to learn to seek me in the ordinary moments of life. For often my signs do not arrive in dazzling splendor, but in small details: a timely word of encouragement, a dawn that suddenly quiets your heart, a meeting that seems coincidental but opens a new path. You will recognize the sign if you are willing to pause to listen and to open your heart. And I promise you this: I will send another sign. It will come at the perfect time in a way you do not expect. Your task is not to predict, but to prepare through prayer, by keeping your heart pure, by walking each day with the awareness that I am near. When your spirit is attuned to listen, you will recognize the sign as soon as it appears. It will bring peace to your soul, clarity to your mind, and strength for your steps. My beloved child, listen carefully to what I am about to say, for it will become the key that helps you pass through the storm that lies ahead. In the coming days, your life will resemble a silent yet fierce battle, where emotions surge and reason struggles for control. You will feel powerful impulses rising within, like waves crashing upon the shore, pulling you toward decisions driven by feeling. Meanwhile, the voice of reason, though still present, may seem faint, like a flickering light in the fog. And it is precisely within this struggle that the enemy will attempt to intrude, amplifying your unguarded emotions and leading you to question the wisdom I have sown within you. I want you to remember this: emotions are not your enemy, but if you allow them to rule, they will become your prison. Emotions were created to help you feel, to move your heart at the beauty of creation, to let you share in the pain of others, to allow you to weep, to laugh, to love. But they were never meant to be the rudder of your whole life. A person led entirely by emotions is easily swayed, changing like grass in the wind, joyful today, sorrowful tomorrow, deciding one way now and reversing course the next day. Such instability cannot lay a firm foundation for the destiny I have prepared. Therefore, you must learn to place your emotions under the light of truth, so that they serve a greater purpose instead of controlling you. My child, look back at the history of my people. When Israel walked in the wilderness, they often let fear and complaint overshadow their faith. They saw the sea before them and the soldiers behind them, and they trembled, murmuring, wanting to return to Egypt as slaves because fear had eclipsed the promise of the land. Yet I split the sea and made a way where no one thought a way existed. That lesson still echoes today. If you let fear steer you, you will miss the miracles already prepared. But if you hold your peace and trust, you will see the sea open before your eyes. Therefore, lean not on the clamoring of emotions, but on my unchanging promises. Emotions can stir impulsiveness, pushing you to speak words you should not speak, to act before you have considered. How many families have broken because of a moment of anger? How many relationships have shattered because of a single word spoken in fury? How many dreams have been lost because of a hasty decision made in fear? The enemy does not need to do much more than ignite an unguarded feeling. The rest you will do yourself, destroying what I have given. Remember, he cannot steal your destiny, but he can exploit your lack of self-control to make you lose it yourself That is why you must stay alert, guard your heart, and learn to listen to me more than to your emotions. Do not mistake me for calling you to become unfeeling. No, my child, I am the one who made your heart beat with compassion. But I am also the one who gave you discernment, so that you are not swept away by blind emotions. Let your heart remain tender to love, yet steady in wisdom. Let your eyes weep over the suffering of others, but let your reason guide you to act rightly instead of reacting rashly. This balance is the key for you to walk fully in my purpose. In the days ahead, many voices will surround you. One will urge you this way, another will urge you that way. Some advice will sound reasonable, others will be a mixture of goodwill and their own fears. At times, even those closest to you will not fully understand what I have placed in your heart. They may worry, they may warn, they may try to restrain you, but they will not always hear the voice I speak to you alone. Value counsel, but do not let it drown out my voice. For in the end only I see the whole picture, from beginning to end. So how will you recognize my voice among 1,000 sounds? Remember this, my voice always carries peace, clarity, and love. It is never hurried, never confused, never driving you into panic. When I speak, your spirit will know. Even if the outward circumstances are still stormy inside, you will find a quiet that cannot be explained. That is my signature. When you feel pressed to decide, in haste, in fear, or in confusion, it is not from me. For I am not the author of chaos, but the God of peace. Train yourself to test every emotion and every counsel by my word. If something contradicts the truth already revealed, it is not from me. If a decision draws you away from love, from humility, from righteousness, it is not from me. But if a voice draws you closer to me, encourages you to trust, and calls you to walk in the light, then you can be sure it is mine. My sheep listen to my voice. I know them and they follow me. John 10:27. This word remains true for you today. When you truly belong to me, you will recognize my voice, even if it is only a gentle whisper amid the storm. You are being invited to train your soul to become more sensitive to my presence. That means stepping away from unnecessary distractions, learning to spend time with me every day. Seek the stillness where the world's noise fades, so you can hear more clearly. In those moments, you will realize I have always been near, always waiting to speak with you. And as you grow familiar with my presence, you will no longer be easily deceived by counterfeit voices. I know you often ask yourself, am I strong enough? Am I wise enough? Am I faithful enough to walk the road ahead? I want to assure you that the strength is not in you, but in me. When you are weak, my power is made perfect in you. When you lack wisdom, I will grant you insight if you ask. When you feel your faithfulness falter, remember, I still hold you in my hand and never let go. My presence, not your own ability, is the guarantee of your future. Therefore, when the inner struggle comes, choose the side of peace. Do not let emotions rule, but let me be Lord. Let your reason, illuminated by my word, guide your steps, while your emotions enrich your journey without steering it. Learn to distinguish clearly between my voice, the world's voice, and the enemy's prompting. For the decisions you make in this season will carry great weight, and I want you to choose the path that leads to life abundance and the fullness I have prepared. My beloved child, reflect on this deeply. Not every event, not every coincidence comes from me. Some things are simply the natural course of life, and some are cunning schemes of the enemy meant to mislead you. That is why I have not only given you a heart that feels, but also the ability to discern, to weigh, to test, and to measure everything against eternal truth. Discernment is the shield that guards you from deception. It is like a lamp set high, casting light on your way through the night. If you do not train discernment, you will easily believe false signals and be drawn onto a path that is not yours. But when you place everything under the light of my word, you will recognize what is genuine and what is only a shadowy imitation of the false. A sign from me never brings confusion, nor does it sow fear or doubt within you. It comes to strengthen faith, to lift the soul, and to draw you nearer to me. It may challenge you to step out of your comfort zone, but it will never pull you into chaos. It may call you to leave what is familiar, but it will always be accompanied by a peace that surpasses understanding. When you receive a true sign, you will sense a cool stream flowing within your heart, even if your circumstances have not yet changed. Conversely, if a signal leaves you confused, anxious, or pressured into acting hastily, it is not from me. For I am the God of order and peace, not of disorder. Look at creation around you. There are times when I use the simple beauty of nature to remind you that I am near. A radiant sunrise after a night of storm, a bird darting across your path just as you cry out for encouragement, or a branch swaying gently as if whispering to your soul. These can all be ways I send comfort to you. At other times, I use people, a timely word, spoken, a message delivered by someone you did not expect, an encounter that seems accidental but opens a new door. And sometimes my sign is direct and unmistakable, a dream marked by unusual clarity, a vision that cannot be denied, or a strong inner sense that something is about to shift. Yet do not confuse curiosity with revelation. Not every dream carries a prophetic meaning. Not every coincidence is a message from heaven. The enemy is subtle and can exploit your hunger for signs to scatter false signals. This is why I call you to slow down, to seek me, rather than merely seek signs. When your focus is on me, every true sign will become clear. But if you chase signs while forgetting the one who gives them, you will be easily swept into deception. One way to recognize the authenticity of a sign is through confirmation. When I give a sign, I often affirm it multiple times through different channels. You may sense something in your heart, then see an image or hear a word that perfectly matches it. This is how I strengthen your faith, so you no longer doubt. Pay attention to these repetitions, for they are not coincidences. They are my way of assuring you that it is truly I who am speaking. Do not fear that you have missed a sign and lost your chance. As long as you have breath, my plan for you remains intact. My mercy has no limits and my grace never runs dry. If you wander, I will find a way to bring you back. If you fall, I will lift you up. If you miss a sign, I will give you another, for I am more patient and loving than you can imagine. The enemy wants you to believe the door is closed forever, that you have gone too far. But that is a lie. The truth is, I am always ready to reopen the door, always preparing a new path for you, if only you will return. Remember, these signs are not meant to confuse you, but to steady you. They are not meant to make you anxious about missing them again, but to draw you closer to me. Let each sign become a reminder that I am at work, that I am faithful, that my plans for you are good. I do not give signs as a game, but to lead you into fullness. For I know the plans I have for you, declares. The Lord plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. In the next 5 days I will send you another sign. It will not come in the way you expect nor at the time you imagine, but it will come precise, timely, and unmistakable. Your task is to prepare your heart to receive it. Do not let noise weary you. Create stillness so you can hear the whisper. Do not let fear blind you. Keep your heart filled with faith that I am moving. Do not set expectations on the form the sign will take, for I may choose a way beyond your thoughts. Open your heart to receive, for my thoughts are higher than your thoughts, and my ways higher than your ways. When fear tries to creep in, remember, it does not come from me. Fear is the enemy's weapon to paralyze you and keep you from stepping into your destiny. But I have not given you a spirit of timidity, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. When fear rises, declare this truth. Let my word resound upon your lips. When the light of truth appears, the darkness of fear will vanish like morning mist before dawn. My child, you are stronger than you think. I have placed within you everything needed to overcome the trial. I see your efforts, I see your longing, I see your faith, even when you feel small. Believe that I am proud of you. I am not seeking perfection, I am seeking a willing heart, and I see in you such a heart. That is what delights me. So do not be sorrowful for having missed yesterday's sign. See it instead as a precious lesson, a gentle reminder to awaken and slow down. Let it become a catalyst for growth, drawing you nearer to my heart. I have not finished my work with you. The best things are still ahead. Prepare, stay awake, and receive the next sign with an open heart. I am walking with you step by step, day by day, until you enter the fullness I have appointed for you. My beloved child, before any action is taken, before any decision is made, there is a single foundation that must be laid: trust. Not a trust built on fragile feelings nor on visible proofs, but a steadfast confidence anchored in the one who does not change. Faith is the first step that opens every closed door, the key that frees you from the chains of doubt, the heartbeat that begins a life lived fully inside the plan I have designed. When you believe you are choosing to place your whole life in my hands, even when your eyes do not yet see, your ears do not yet hear, and your mind does not yet understand. Faith is not a reckless leap into darkness. It is your response to my proven faithfulness through every generation. From Abraham, who dared to leave his homeland, not knowing where he was going to marry, the young maiden who accepted the holy weight of bearing the Savior, all shared one thing: they believed. That belief changed. History shook, powers thought unshakable, and opened doors no one had dared to dream of. I know there are times when you find it hard to believe. When trials linger, when prayers seem unanswered, when darkness grows thick, you wonder, do you hear me? Are you truly at work? It is in these moments that the word believe becomes most precious. To believe when everything is favorable is easy. To believe in adversity is true faith. It is when you choose to stand firm, though nothing remains to hold but the promise. It is when you dare to step out on the water while the waves still crash. It is when you dare to give thanks in the very valley of the shadow of death. Understand this: believing does not mean you will avoid hardship. Faith does not turn life into a rose field without thorns. Faith is the decision to look at me among the thorns, trusting that my hand can turn ashes into glory, defeat into a stepping stone, trials into testimony. When you believe, you allow me to turn all things, both good and bad, into instruments for fulfilling my good plan for your life. Remember Abraham. Old in years with a barren wife, yet I promised his descendants would be as countless as the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore. Reason said it was impossible, but he believed, and that faith was credited to him as righteousness. Remember Job, who lost his wealth, his children, and his health, yet still declared, "Though he slay me, yet will I hope in him." This is the power of faith, a bond unshaken, a resolve to cling to the faithful one when everything else crumbles. I know your heart often trembles under circumstances. You see the waves and fear, you see the storm and tremble, you see the path obscured and hesitate. But remember, faith is not walking in light. It is daring to walk when only a promise lights the way. Faith is accepting that you need not know every detail because I already do. Faith is choosing to trust my plan even when it looks nothing like your expectations. Faith is letting go of your own control to take hold of my hand, the one who knows the end from the beginning. My child, the enemy will always try to plant doubt in your heart. He whispers that you are not good enough, that you have gone too far, that the promise is not for you. But remember, he is the father of lies. The truth is, my love for you does not change. My plan for you is not canceled, and my word will never return void. When you stand firm and trust, you silence the enemy, and strip him of power over your mind. Faith is not a passing feeling in the moment of prayer. Faith is a way of life. Faith is a daily choice when you wake, when you work, when you face hard decisions. Faith is letting each word, each action, each thought reflect the conviction that I am with you. Faith is not only singing praise after the miracle, but praising while you are still waiting. Faith is holding fast to hope, even when every visible sign seems to contradict it. My beloved, I call you into a season of deeper trust. Not shallow faith, not convenient faith, but a steadfast trust rooted like a tree by streams of water, unmoved when the storms blow. When you learn to build your life on this trust, you will find yourself steadier than ever before. The waves may pound the shore, but your vessel will not sink. The fire of testing may blaze, but it will only refine you like pure gold. So open your heart. Let the word believe echo within you like an unending song. Let it become the rhythm of your heartbeat, the breath of your soul, the foundation of every step. For without faith you cannot please me. But when you believe, even as small as a mustard seed, you can move mountains, open doors, though it is impossible, and step into the abundance I have prepared. My beloved child, faith is not only the beginning, it is the unceasing journey. Some think faith is a single decision at some moment in life, after which everything flows smoothly. But true faith is a continuous rhythm, a stream running through every day, a persevering trust, held in the midst of unending change. Faith is the lifeblood of the soul. Once it stops, the soul dries up, the will grows weary, and hope fades. Faith is a lamp that must be refilled with oil continually, or its light will dim and be extinguished in the night. Look at the life of Peter, an ordinary fisherman who became a pillar of the church. He dared step out of the boat and walk on water toward my son. The moment his eyes left the Savior and fixed on the waves, he began to sink. This shows faith is not a completed event, but an ongoing attachment. The instant you stop looking at me, the instant your mind is drawn away by circumstances, doubt slips in and pulls you under. But when you keep your eyes on me, you will walk upon even the things that seem impossible. In each day of life, you will always face choices that demand faith. When a door of opportunity opens but certainty is not yet visible, you must choose to step forward in faith or to halt in fear. When trials come, you must choose to stand firm in your trust in me or to let circumstances shake you. When answers do not come immediately, you must choose to continue believing or to give up in doubt. Every decision like this, whether small or great, is a test of trust, and it is precisely these repeated choices that will strengthen you, making your faith steadfast like stone. Do not think of faith as a static possession, something you obtain and then preserve unchanged. Faith is like a muscle. It must be trained, it must be tested, it must be exercised in order to grow. If you seek only a safe faith, never exposed to trials, then that faith will remain weak, fragile, and easily broken when storms arise. But if you allow me to lead you through the fire of trial, your faith will be refined like gold in the furnace. Fire does not destroy gold, it purifies it, burning away all impurities, until only purity and greater worth remain. In the same way, trials do not destroy true faith, they only make it shine brighter and stronger. The enemy knows that trust is the foundation, therefore he always seeks to attack here first. He does not need to take away everything you possess. He only needs to plant a seed of doubt in your heart. He whispers that I have abandoned you, that my promises are not real, that your prayers are useless. And when that seed takes root, it grows into despair, bitterness, and disobedience. Be watchful, do not let him steal the seed of faith from your heart. Guard it in good soil, the soil of prayer, the soil of the living word, the soil of fellowship with other believers. In such an environment, faith will take root deeply, and no storm will ever be able to uproot it. Remember that faith is not mere intellectual agreement. It is surrender of the whole heart. Faith means placing yourself in weakness in order to rely on my strength. Faith means stepping forward even when you do not see the whole map, knowing only that I go before you. Faith means entrusting to me the right to decide even when you wish to keep control tightly in your own hands. And faith means allowing your heart to rest, secure in peace, even when reason cannot yet explain everything. I want you to understand that faith is never solitary. When you believe, you join the stream of faith that has flowed through the ages, continuing the legacy of thousands of generations who went before you. You walk in the same current as Abraham, Moses, David, Isaiah, Mary, and countless witnesses who lived by faith. They too trembled, they too wondered, they too questioned, but they chose to believe. And because of that, they left you a heritage, an example to look to and to continue. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and the sin that clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. Hebrews 1:2. My child, faith does not mean never experiencing doubt. Even the strongest in faith faced moments of uncertainty. What mattered was that they chose not to let doubt rule them. When John the Baptist, who bore witness to my son, was imprisoned in darkness, he sent his disciples to ask, "Are you the one who is to come?" That was a moment of weakness. Yet my son did not rebuke him. He strengthened his faith by pointing to the evidence of miracles. In the same way, when you are weak, I do not condemn you, I uphold you. I strengthen the faith that trembles so long as you return to me. True faith does not deny reality, but it perceives a greater reality, mine. Faith does not mean pretending problems do not exist. Faith means looking directly at them and declaring that I am greater than them. Faith does not mean ignoring pain. Faith means acknowledging it, yet believing that I can transform it into healing. Faith does not mean rejecting hardship. Faith means facing it with confidence that I will use it to glorify my name. Let faith become the refrain of your soul. Let it resound each morning as you wake, echo in your words, and shape how you face adversity. Let faith be the root, so that when the winds rise, you remain unshaken. For it is faith that will carry you through, that will open new doors, that will transform your life in ways you never imagined. And when you look back, you will see that each step of trust, no matter how small, has formed a great journey leading you into the fullness I have prepared. My child, faith is an unending journey, and you must understand that it is not only for beginning but for persevering to the end. Many may start with zeal, but only those who hold steadfast to the end will reap the full reward. Faith is the bridge that spans the chasm between what I have promised and what you see in your present reality. Without that bridge, you remain stranded on this side, knowing only the promise, but never reaching its fulfillment. But when you dare to step onto the bridge of faith, you will discover it is firm because I myself am its foundation. Remember that faith does not erase trials, but it transforms the way you face them. Faith teaches you to see the storm as an opportunity to witness a miracle, to see the wilderness as the place where water flows from the rock, to see waiting as the season of growth. When you believe, you no longer view failure as the end, but as a stepping stone drawing you closer to the promise. When you believe, you no longer see loss as destruction, but as preparation for something greater. Faith changes your perspective, allowing you to see reality, not as the world sees it, but as I see it. Think of Job. He lost everything, his wealth, his health, even those dearest to him. Yet in the depths of pain, he declared, "I know that my Redeemer lives." That is true faith, a faith not built on circumstances, but on the certainty that I am present and that my power has not changed. That faith kept him standing in the fiercest storm, and in the end he was restored twofold. This story is not only of the past, It is a testimony for you today. If you believe, you too will see restoration. You will see my promises fulfilled. True faith also leaves its imprint on future generations. The faith you nurture today becomes a spiritual inheritance for those who follow after you. When you faithfully trust me, you are not only building your own life, you are planting seeds of trust in your family, your community, and the generations to come. Your children will look at that example and learn that trusting me is never in vain. Your friends will see and recognize that there is a faithful one who does not change. Even those who have never met you will be touched by the story of faith you leave behind. I want you to understand that believing is not passive waiting, it is active movement. Faith is stepping forward when you cannot yet see the road sowing seed, when you have not yet seen the rain singing, when you have not yet seen victory. Faith is building your life on the foundation of my promise, not on the shifting sands of circumstance. Faith is refusing to let fear steer you, but choosing instead to let peace guide you. Faith is proclaiming life even when death seems to press in. Faith is seeing the larger picture, while holding only a fragment in your hand. The enemy will do everything to steal your faith, because he knows that as long as you still believe, he cannot destroy you. If he cannot take your faith, all his schemes fail. He may rob you of possessions, health, or even what you love most, but if your faith remains, you will always have the chance to rise again. Therefore, guard your faith as a treasure. Do not let it be worn down by doubt, rusted by disappointment, or buried beneath fear. Do not forget, faith must be nourished daily. Let my word soak deeply into your soul, for faith comes by hearing the word. Pray without ceasing, for prayer is the breath that keeps faith alive. Surround yourself with those who encourage you, for faith is strengthened in community, not in isolation. And remember to give thanks, for gratitude enlarges faith and helps you recognize that I was faithful in the past and will continue to be faithful in the future. When you live by faith, you become a living testimony to the world. Others may debate philosophy or question doctrine, but they cannot deny a life transformed by faith. That light will shine forth, stirring others to seek the source of the trust you carry. This is how your faith becomes a message, not only by words, but by the way you live. My child, faith does not have to be large to have an impact. Even like the tiny mustard seed, if it is real, it can move mountains. I am not looking for a perfect faith. I am looking for a heart willing to believe. If you feel your faith is small, do not be discouraged. Bring that small seed and place it in my hand, and you will see wonders unfold. For the power does not lie in the size of your faith, but in the one in whom you place it. I urge you today to renew your commitment to trust. Lay aside the burdens of doubt that have bound you. Let my promises echo in your soul. Declare that you trust me not because circumstances are favorable, but because I am faithful. Walk forward with bold faith, for your future is not held in your hands, but in mine, the one who loves you, who has prepared good plans for you, who will never forsake you. My beloved, if believing is the root, then receiving is the fruit. For true faith does not stand still. It opens the door for you to receive. Faith is only the beginning, but receiving is its full response. When you believe me, you must also learn to open your hands, your heart, and your life to receive what I give. For I did not create you to live in lack or rejection. I created you to live in the abundance of love, in the richness of grace, and in the overflow of blessing. Reflect on this. Many believe I exist, believe I am powerful, believe I am faithful, yet they never learn how to receive. They are like someone standing before a banquet table, already prepared, but never sitting down to eat. They look, they nod, they acknowledge the feast is real, yet they walk away hungry. I do not want you to stop at mere acknowledgement. I want you to take the next step, come closer, stretch out your hand, and receive. For what I give is not an abstract idea. It is life-healing forgiveness, renewal, and concrete grace touching every corner of your life. My child, many do not receive because they think they are unworthy. They look at their sins, their failures, their past mistakes, and conclude that blessing is not for them. But I say to you, grace is never based on worthiness. If it were based on merit, it would no longer be grace. Grace is a gift that cannot be bought, traded, or earned by human effort. You can only receive it with an open heart. Remember, my Son died for you when you were still weak, still distant, still unworthy. If then I gave you my greatest gift, how much more now am I willing to give you every other good thing? Receiving is not a passive attitude, but an act of courage. To receive, you must humble yourself. You must acknowledge that you are in need, that you lack, that you cannot provide for yourself. And this runs contrary to the human ego, which longs to control, to be self-sufficient, to prove itself. Yet, my child, remember this: when you are weak, then you are strong. When you humble yourself to receive, you are truly lifted up. When you let go of what you are clinging to, your pride, your self-reliance, your fears, you create space for me to place into your hands things far greater. Look back at history. The Canaanite woman came pleading with my Son to heal her daughter. She did not belong to Israel. She was despised by many, yet she persisted. When tested, she replied, "Lord, even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." My Son saw her heart, a heart willing to receive even the crumbs. And because of that humility, she was blessed. This shows that receiving does not depend on status or background, but on the posture of the heart. My beloved child, I see many who pray but do not dare to receive. They ask but keep their minds locked in doubt. They say, "Please give," while their hearts whisper, "Perhaps it is not for me." To ask without daring to receive is like sowing seed but never reaping. That is why I call you not only to believe but also to receive. When you pray, believe that you have received, and you will see it come to pass. Open your heart to receive. Dare to declare, "I receive," even before you see it with your eyes. That very declaration makes way for grace to flow into your life. Let receiving become a daily habit. Do not think you receive only once and it is enough. My grace is new every morning. My mercy never runs dry. Each day I give. Each day I desire to pour out. Therefore come to me not just once, but daily, hourly, moment by moment. Let the words I receive become the refrain of your soul. And as you keep that refrain, you will see your whole life transformed. Receiving also means allowing me to change you. When you receive forgiveness, you must also learn to release shame. When you receive healing, you must also let me mend the deep wounds of your soul. When you receive guidance, you must be willing to walk the new path I show you. Receiving is not just holding a blessing for yourself, it is letting that blessing flow outward, becoming a stream for others. For every gift I give has a purpose: to build up, to heal, to serve. I see there are moments when you hesitate to receive because you fear that if you do, you will have to change. You fear I will call you to go farther, to give more, to sacrifice greater. But my beloved, do not let fear hold you back. For whatever I call you to let go of, it is only so that I may give you something better. I do not take away to leave you empty. I take away to make you overflow. When you receive, you will find you have not lost, but instead you have entered freedom, abundance, and peace you have never known. Remember also that receiving requires discernment. Not everything the world lays before you is a gift from me. Some things appear beautiful yet carry deception inside. Some opportunities seem attractive, but lead to destruction. That is why you must learn to receive only what comes from me, what aligns with my word, what brings peace, what does not draw you away from me. Ask for wisdom to discern, to refuse the counterfeit, to avoid the traps the enemy hides in disguised gifts. Let receiving become your way of life. Receive my love so that you may love others. Receive forgiveness so that you may forgive. Receive comfort, so that you may comfort. Receive encouragement, so that you may be encouraged. As you live this way, you will find yourself becoming a channel of grace, and in the very act of giving out, you will be filled even more. This is the paradox of my kingdom. The more you give, the more you receive. The more you receive, the more you have to give. Open your heart. Do not merely stand from afar acknowledging that I can but step forward and receive. Let the words I receive become a powerful confession, an affirmation that you not only believe, but you step into truth. And when you do, you will see your life no longer the same. For believing is the beginning, but receiving is the step that ushers you into true transformation. My beloved child, receiving is not a single act, but a posture of life. It requires you to align your whole being, your thoughts, your emotions, your daily attitude, so that you are ready to embrace what I long to give. A closed heart, though standing before a treasure house, will walk away empty-handed. But an open heart, even if it receives only a drop of dew, will find that drop becomes a stream, refreshing the entire journey. Therefore, my child, the essential question is not how much you hold in your hands, but whether you are willing to receive it. I know there are times when a voice rises within you. Am I truly worthy to receive? That doubt is the chain the enemy often uses to bind your soul. But hear what I declare: you do not receive because you are worthy. You receive because I love you. That love is not built on merit or achievement, but on my eternal choice. Before you could do anything, I loved you. Before you asked, I already knew. Before you fell, I had already prepared the lifting up. Therefore, receiving is not a reward for perfection, but the fruit of unconditional love. My child, to receive you must learn to let go. Let go of the notion that I only bless others and not you. Let go of the thought that blessings are only for those with great faith while yours is too small. Let go of the memories of past disappointments that whisper doubt. Remember this: the past does not limit the future, when I am the one making the way. When you cling to shame, you close the door to grace. But when you release, you open space for me to fill. Receiving also requires preparation, not material preparation, but inner preparation. Imagine a room cluttered and overflowing with no space left. Even if I desired to place a treasure there, there would be no room. So it is with your heart. If it is filled with fear, resentment, envy, or ambition, there will be no space for blessing. That is why I call you to clear your heart. Forgive those you need to forgive. Restore broken relationships. Release your accusations against yourself. When your heart is open, blessing will find its dwelling place. Remember Mary, the young woman who received the angel's message. She did not ask, "Am I worthy?" She simply said, "I am the Lord's servant. May it be to me according to your word." That was the posture of a heart ready to receive. Not because she understood everything, not because she saw the future clearly, but because she chose to open her heart. That act of receiving altered the course of history. Therefore, do not underestimate the power of one I receive. It can open a flow of grace, not only for your life, but for generations. I want you to understand that receiving is never about selfishness. You do not receive to hoard, but to become a channel. Like the Sea of Galilee receives water from the Jordan and flows into the Great Sea, while the Dead Sea only receives and never gives, and thus has no life within it. If you receive but never allow blessing to flow through, your spirit will become stagnant. But when you allow what you have received to pour out through love, through sharing, through serving, you will be filled even more. For the principle of the kingdom is this: the more you give, the more you receive. Often you think that receiving must mean waiting for something extraordinary, a great miracle, a dramatic event. But open your eyes. Blessings often arrive in the simplest details. A word of encouragement at the right time, a small opportunity, a peace beyond explanation, all are grace. If you wait only for the grand, you will miss the morning dew I send each day. Learn to see me in the ordinary, for I am present in every small moment. And as you are faithful to receive the little, I will entrust you with more. My child, to receive you must also learn patience. Some blessings I give at once, but others must ripen in time. Just as a tree requires seasons to flower and bear fruit, so too does your soul need stages. Do not lose heart when you see no result yet. Trust that I am working behind the veil, arranging every detail so the gift arrives at the perfect moment. If you receive too soon, you will not see the fullness. If too late, the opportunity passes. But when you wait patiently, you will find that my timing is always perfect. Practice receiving daily. When you pray, do not end with requests alone, but with a declaration, I receive. When you read the word, do not treat it as mere text, but receive it as living speech meant for you. As you walk through the day, keep your heart open to notice the small signs. Let receiving become a continual refrain, an unbroken stream, so that blessing never ceases to flow. And remember, this receiving never makes you weaker. On the contrary, it makes you stronger. For when you receive, you no longer struggle in your own strength. You are supplied from a source that never runs dry. When you receive peace, fear loses its ground. When you receive joy, the shadows of sorrow flee. When you receive healing, old wounds lose their power. When you receive wisdom, you know how to walk through difficult choices. And when you receive love, you learn to love without fear of being hurt. Be courageous. Say to your own heart today, I am ready to receive. Let that declaration become reality. Do not delay. Do not close yourself off. Do not let shame or fear hold you back. I stand at the door and knock. If you open, I will come in and bless. Everything I have promised shall be fulfilled. And as you receive, your life will become a living testimony to the world that I am the giver, the lover, the one who never forgets his promise. My beloved child, when you receive, it is not merely a gesture, but a movement into deep communion with me. To receive means you accept me as your sole source, acknowledging that life, strength, and hope flow from me alone. In receiving, you do not simply take hold of a blessing, you take hold of me, the giver himself. And when you have me, you have everything. Many come before me only to ask, yet never truly receive. They ask for peace, but still cling to anxiety. They ask for forgiveness, but still hold on to guilt. They ask for guidance, but insist on walking their own way. That is not receiving, that is hesitation. True receiving means letting go of the old to grasp the new. It means laying down your burdens to walk in freedom. It means daring to open your hands even when what I give surpasses your understanding. Remember, this receiving is a decision that transforms. When you receive forgiveness, you no longer live as a slave to sin, but as one set free in grace. When you receive peace, fear no longer governs you, and you walk in the quietness of the soul. When you receive wisdom, you no longer lean on your limited understanding, but step into the wide perspective of the kingdom. And when you receive love, rejection and past wounds lose their hold, and you become a bearer of love to the world. Receiving also means you are willing to be part of a greater plan. Blessing is not for you to hoard, but to become a witness. When you receive healing, it is not only for your health, but so you may encourage others that I am the healer. When you receive provision, it is not merely to be full, but to become a source of blessing to those in need. When you receive wisdom, it is not just for right decisions, but to guide and enlighten others. Remember the story of Peter in Acts. When he stood before the lame man at the beautiful gate, he had no silver or gold to give, but he had received power from me, and he gave it away. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, walk. The man rose healed. This proves that when you receive, you will have something to give. And as you give, grace does not run out, it flows even more abundantly. Receiving is not greed, but obedience. For I want you to receive. I want you to live in abundance, not in lack. I want you to walk in freedom, not in bondage. I want you to be a witness, not an onlooker. When you refuse to receive, you not only impoverish yourself, but also diminish the glory I long to display through your life. But when you receive, I am glorified, for the world will see that I am the giver and the keeper of promises. The enemy will always try to stop you from receiving. He will plant doubt in your heart. This is not for you. He will whisper that your past is too stained, your sin too heavy. He will try to make you believe the promise is only for others. But resist those lies with the truth. There is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. Romans 8:1. When you are in Him, you have the right to receive, not because of your merit, but because of the sacrifice of my Son. Therefore, come boldly and take hold of what has already been given to you. Receiving also requires courage, for it will change how you live. When you receive a calling, you cannot live as before. When you receive anointing, you are sent to fulfill a mission. When you receive revelation, you cannot turn away from the truth. To receive is to step into a new journey, a new season, a new responsibility. And though it may seem daunting, remember, the grace that accompanies the blessing will sustain you. I want you to practice receiving in every moment of life. In the morning, receive fresh mercy. During the day, receive strength to labor. In the evening, receive peace to rest. In times of hardship, receive hope. In times of joy, receive complete gladness. Receiving is not only for sacred hours, but for every single moment, because I am always giving, and my flow never ceases. Do not think that receiving is selfish. On the contrary, it is humility. For when you receive, you acknowledge that you need me. You surrender the thought that you can handle everything by yourself. You choose to depend on me, the source of all good things. And when you do, you step into true freedom, for you no longer carry everything on your own strength. Remember, receiving is a privilege, but also a responsibility. When you receive, you are called to live worthy of what has been given. When you receive love, you must live in love. When you receive forgiveness, you must forgive. When you receive wisdom, you must live wisely. Every gift comes with an invitation not to burden you, but to make you a useful vessel in my hand. My beloved, do not fear to receive. I am a gracious Father. I rejoice when you open your heart. I never reproach you for receiving, for it is I who have prepared the gift. Come near, stretch out your hand, open your heart, and say, I receive. And when you do, all of heaven joins in chorus with you, because this is what I have longed for from the beginning, a complete communion between you and me. My precious one, if faith is the root and receiving is the fruit, then living is the full portrait I desire to reveal through your life. For faith is only the beginning, receiving is only the opening of the door, but living is the proof that my word has become reality. Beloved, I have not called you merely to know me, not only to acknowledge my presence, but to live in the abundant life I have prepared. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. John 10:10. This is not an abstract promise, but a reality you can walk in each day. To live in me means you no longer pass through your days as one who merely exists. Many in this world are breathing, moving, and working, yet they are not truly alive. They are caught in the whirlpool of duties, fears, and fleeting desires. They lose joy, they lose peace, they lose meaning. They exist without knowing why they exist. But I did not create you to merely exist. I placed breath within you so that you may live with purpose, live with hope, live with love, live in the light of my presence. To live in me means letting the promise become action, letting faith become a way of life. It is not only in the quiet hours of prayer, but in every small act of the ordinary day. When you work with faithfulness, you are living in me. When you speak to others with gentleness, you are living in me. When you forgive, instead of holding grudges, when you sow hope instead of fear, When you stand firm in truth instead of compromise, all are proof that you are living in the reality of heaven. Beloved, to live also means to reflect my image. I created you in my image, not for that image to be dimmed by the shadows of the world, but for it to shine. When others look at your life, they should not only see you, they should see me through you. That is what it means to live. Not to live for self, but to live that I may be glorified. When you live this way, even those who have never read the scriptures will see my word through your actions. Your life becomes a living book, a powerful testimony of my love and my power. My child, to truly live, you must step out of fear. For fear causes you to shrink back, to live half-heartedly, to refuse the fullness that is offered. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of loss, these are chains that bind the soul. But when I give you life, I give you a spirit, not of timidity, but of power, of love, and of sound mind. Therefore, to live in me is to dare to walk with boldness, to enter into new things, to embrace the mission entrusted to you. Living in me also means you must learn to walk in freedom. I have delivered you from the chains of sin, from the weight of shame, from the claws of darkness. Do not let yourself return to slavery under these things. When you have been set free, walk as one who is free. Living in me means knowing you are forgiven, knowing you are loved, knowing you are chosen. Nothing in the past can shackle you. No accusation of the enemy can strip you of your worth. You are my child, and living in me means that each day you walk in that identity. To live is also to learn to receive both joy and trial as part of the journey. I did not promise that you would never face hardship, but I did promise that I would walk with you through every hardship. Living in me does not mean avoiding suffering, but allowing me to turn suffering into testimony, tears into pearls, wounds into places of light. When you live this way, the world will see that the life in me is stronger than any darkness. Many think that living in me means keeping spiritual matters separate from ordinary life. But I speak to you, there is no boundary. Living in me encompasses everything. When you sit to eat, when you work, when you rest, when you laugh, when you cry. Every moment can become holy if you invite me to be present. When you wash dishes in love, it is worship. When you care for your family with patience, it is an offering. When you work with honesty, it is a testimony of my presence. Beloved, to live also means learning to treasure each moment. Do not wait until you achieve some great success to consider yourself truly alive. Do not think that only when hardship ends will you be really living. The life I give is not limited by circumstance. It can burst forth in prison as Paul and Silas sing praises. It can shine in the wilderness as Israel ate manna from heaven. It can rise in the tomb as my son rises again. Living in me means knowing that anywhere at any time you can experience abundant life. I want you to understand that living in me is not only for your enjoyment, but also for you to become an instrument. I have placed you in the world to be salt and light. When you live in truth, you become a voice for justice. When you live in love, you become a refuge for the wounded. When you live in hope, you become a lamp for the lost. Your life is not only for you, it is the means by which I reveal my kindness to the world. Therefore, do not merely exist. Live. Let your breath carry, meaning let each day bear the imprint of heaven. Let the life I give fill you, flow through you, and spread to every place you set your foot. For I have given you not a fleeting existence, but an abundant life, a life that never runs dry, an eternal life. Step in live and become the proof that life in me is the greatest gift a human can receive. My child, living in me is not easy when the noise of the world surrounds you. Each day you will hear hundreds of calls: chase success, seek security, accumulate power, do whatever it takes to be recognized. But I say to you, true living is not running after those fragile values, but walking in the path I have set, even when that path does not look like the way the world chooses. When you dare to live differently, you testify that life in me is stronger than life in the world. Living in me does not mean you will escape every trial. On the contrary, because you live in truth, darkness will try to hinder you. But do not fear. Trials are not sent to destroy you, but to refine you. Like precious metal tested by fire, life in me is forged in adversity. When you are opposed, misunderstood, or isolated, it is not proof you are on the wrong path, but proof you are on the right one. Therefore, do not lose heart. True life will always triumph, because it flows from the one who never changes. To live also means learning perseverance. The world teaches that happiness comes from instant achievement, but I teach that true life comes through a patient process. Just as a plant needs time to take root, to grow, to bloom, to bear fruit, you too must be patient in your journey. You may not see results today, but that does not mean the seed of life within you is inactive. It is growing silently, and in its season, it will bear fruit. Be patient to live each day, assured that I am working in every detail. Remember, living in me does not end with nourishing your own soul, but it is also about bringing that life to others. When you share a word of encouragement, you are sowing life. When you lift up the weak, you are sowing life. When you choose forgiveness instead of revenge, you are sowing life. And those seeds of life, though small, will sprout, grow, and spread far beyond what your eyes can see. That is why I declared you are the light of the world, the salt of the earth. You are not to hide life away, but to let it shine, to let it bring flavor to the community around you. Living in me also requires you to remain faithful in the smallest of things. Do not think that living for me begins only with great deeds. It begins with the way you use your words, the way you steward your time, the way you treat your loved ones, the way you keep your promises. When you are faithful in little, I will entrust you with greater things. But if you despise the small, the life within you will be fragmented, reduced to scattered existence. Let every detail of your daily life become evidence that you are living in me. My child, to live also means to dare to live truthfully. Do not wear a mask to please others. Do not hide your weakness as though you never stumble. True life does not flow from pretense, but from honesty. When you dare to be real with yourself and with me, you can experience healing. I do not demand perfection. I ask for sincerity. When you are weak, admit it. When you are weary, come near me. When you are lost, call upon me. It is in that truth that life is fully revealed. Life itself is a testimony. The world may reject teachings, but it cannot deny a life that has been transformed. When they see you live with kindness, they will recognize a power beyond human strength. When they see you hold peace in the storm, they will know you stand on a firm foundation. When they see you stand in righteousness, even at a cost, they will perceive a truth that cannot be shaken. Your life will speak louder than any defense or argument. Do not let life stop at the level of the individual. I call you into a life of community. True life is always nurtured in fellowship. When you pray together with your brothers and sisters, you will find renewed strength. When you share burdens together, you will find support. When you worship together, you will see heaven open. Living in me is never a lonely journey. It is a shared pilgrimage where all are upheld, all are matured, all walk forward together. My child, to live, you must learn to remain watchful. Many things will seek to distract you: worries, desires, ambitions, even matters that seem harmless. But when your heart is pulled too far away, life will gradually fade. Therefore, be watchful. Take time in silence to hear my voice. Let my word be your light. Place me above all else. When you are watchful, the life within you will remain fresh, never withering under the weight of the world's busyness. Living in me means daring to walk with an unshakable hope. The world may change, but the life I give is eternal. Today you may face hardship, but tomorrow will shine with light. Today you may carry wounds, but tomorrow they will be healed. Today you may walk in tears, but tomorrow you will reap in joy. Living in me means always looking to the future, not with fear, but with expectation. For I, the one who has promised, am always faithful. Remember, to live is not merely to prolong breath, but to let each breath carry meaning. To live is not merely to pass through days, but to let each day reflect glory. To live is not to keep life for yourself alone, but to let it flow outward to many. Let life in me become the main melody of your existence, a melody that never fades, a song resounding through generations. My child, living in me is a lifelong process, a journey that begins the moment you behold the light, until the day you step into eternal glory. I have told you that faith is the root, receiving is the fruit, but living is the complete picture, where the tree of life blossoms, bears fruit, and spreads its shade for many. Therefore, I remind you, do not stop at merely believing, do not settle with only receiving, but go further into living. To live is to let every aspect of your life be infused with my presence, so that each of your days becomes a living testimony of my power and love, my beloved. How many on this earth only know existence, but not true living? They breathe, they work, they struggle for survival, yet their souls are barren, their hearts are heavy, their eyes no longer shine with hope. They live like shadows, like leaves drifting with the current, unaware of why they exist. But I did not create you to merely drag through the days. I gave you breath so that you may live in joy, live in freedom, live in hope, live with a clear purpose. True life is not about prolonging years, but about making every moment meaningful. Living in me means you no longer define yourself by the standards of the world. Your worth no longer comes from the approval of others, from fleeting achievements, or from what you possess. Your worth comes from being my child, my chosen one, the bearer of my image. When you live in that identity, you will not be swayed by praise or criticism, by success or failure. You will know where you belong, you will know for whom you live, and that will bring a steadfast peace the world cannot give and cannot take away. Living in me also means walking in true freedom. The world may bind you with fear, shame, or ambition, but I have come to break every chain. When you have been forgiven, do not live like a fallen sinner, but live like one who has been set free. When you have been loved, do not live like one in lack, but live like one who overflows to share. When you have been freed, do not return to imprison yourself in the cells of the past. Living in me means knowing how to let go, how to walk on, how to lift up your head, and keep moving forward in continual renewal. My child, to live is to dare to face trials with a different posture. The world sees trials as burdens, but I want you to see them as opportunities. Opportunities for faith to be displayed, for patience to be refined, for love to be proven. The life I give is not an easy life, but a deep one. And that depth can only be formed when you face hardship with the confidence that I am with you. Remember, even in the lion's den, Daniel lived. Even in the blazing fire, the 3 young men lived. Even in the dark tomb, my son lived again. The life in me cannot be destroyed by circumstance. It rises above every limit. Living in me also means living as a witness. A transformed life is more powerful than any argument. When others see you forgive instead of retaliate, they will recognize a power beyond human strength. When they see you at peace in the storm, they will see that you stand on a firm foundation. When they see you persist in love in a selfish world, they will perceive a love greater than all. Your life, whether quiet or radiant, can become a living sermon, a living Bible, for those who have never read a single word. I want you to see that living in me is not confined to yourself. It spreads like ripples when a stone drops into water. When you live in truth, your family is illuminated. When you live in hope, your friends are strengthened. When you live in love, your community is transformed. And when an entire community lives in me, a whole generation is changed. Therefore, never underestimate the choices you make each day. A gentle word can save a soul. A loving action can change a life. A faithful attitude can awaken faith in an entire generation. Remember, to live also means to sow legacy. Every decision today, every small action, is weaving the tapestry of legacy on which the next generation will walk. If you live in fear, you leave behind darkness. If you live in bitterness, you leave behind wounds. But if you live in faith, you leave behind light. If you live in love, you leave behind a wellspring of healing. Never think that your life affects only you. Every breath you live in me is a seed planted in the ground, and that seed will sprout, bear fruit, and spread to those you have never met. My child, I know that living in me is not always easy. There will be days when you feel weary, moments when you want to give up, times when you think this life is too far out of reach. But I remind you, you are not living alone. My Spirit is within you, pouring out life each day. You do not need to strain to live well. You only need to remain in me, and life will flow naturally like water from a spring. Stay connected as the branch is joined to the vine. Then you will not need to force fruit. The fruit will appear naturally because the life in you flows from me. Living in me also means learning to cherish each moment. Do not wait until everything is perfect to live. Do not postpone joy until you reach your goals. Do not withhold love until you are sure you will not be hurt. Live today in the circumstances you have with what you already hold. Love today, forgive today, sow hope today. Every day is a gift. Every moment is an opportunity. When you live this way, you will find your life rich, full, and without regret. My beloved child, living in me is walking with an eternal vision. The world sees only the present, but I want you to see farther, see the future, see eternity. When you live with that vision, the present difficulties become light and momentary. You will not let failure make you fall, nor let success make you proud. You will live with wisdom, knowing that all things on this earth are temporary, but the life in me is eternal. And when that day comes, when you stand before me, you will hear the words, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your Lord." I am calling you today live. Do not merely exist, do not merely drag your feet, do not merely wait. Live fully, live courageously, live in the light, live in love, live in truth. Let each breath you take carry meaning, let every step you make leave an imprint, let every word you speak bring life. For you were not created to be a shadow but a lamp. You were not created to be swept away but to stand firm and shine. You were not created merely to pass through but to live in me, to live with me, to live for me. My child, from the very beginning I have sown into your heart 3 foundational words: believe, receive, and live. Each carries its own meaning, each opens a different door. Believing is the first step, the first heartbeat of the spiritual journey. Receiving is opening your heart to welcome the flow of grace, and living is expressing it outwardly, letting life flow without ceasing. But my child, the true power is not in each word standing alone, but in their harmonious union. When they blend, you will see transformation no longer confined to the personal realm, but spreading as a wave touching family, community, and generation. Imagine believing as the seed, receiving as the fertile soil, and living as the grown tree. A seed kept in your hand, without sowing, will dry up. Soil without seed remains an empty space. And if the seed is sown and the soil is good, but the tree is not tended to live, all becomes meaningless. Only when all 3 converge does the seed sprout roots, anchor deep, shoots, rise, flowers, bloom, fruit appears. So it is with believing, receiving, and living. They must never be separated. Faith leads you to open your heart, receiving leads you to experience, and living confirms it all through visible testimony. This is the sacred circle I have ordained. Many stop at only one of the 3. Some believe in me, but never truly receive. Their faith is only theory, untouched by experience. Some receive my grace and delight in the blessing, but they do not live differently. Grace becomes something stored instead of something flowing. Others try to live out the truth, but without the foundation of believing and receiving. They soon exhaust themselves, for it is only human effort. Each fragment alone is incomplete. But when the three unite, you will see the difference. Believing makes the roots firm, receiving fills the soul, living makes the light spread. My beloved child, look at Abraham. He believed my word, and that faith was counted to him as righteousness. But he did not stop at believing. He received the promise of descendants as numerous as the stars. And he lived as one called, leaving his homeland, going to the place I appointed, becoming the father of many nations, faith, receiving, and living, intertwined, making him an example for generations. Look at Mary, the humble young woman. She believed the angel's message, she received grace, and she lived to bring the Savior into the world. Look at Peter, the ordinary fisherman. He believed my son's words, he received a new calling after his failure, and he lived as a pillar of the early church. None of them kept only one part. They walked fully in all three, and that power changed history. When these three words blend you, step into an unbreakable flow. Faith roots you in the storm. Receiving keeps your soul ever fresh like an unfailing river. Living makes you overflow, bringing shade and fruit to others. Without one, you will feel unbalanced, but when all three move together, you walk in wholeness. This is the secret of the abundant life my son spoke of. I have come that they may have life and have it abundantly. This power is not only for you to stand firm, but for you to become a source of influence. You cannot go out to testify if you only believe without receiving, for you will lack power. You cannot give to others if you only receive without living, for the blessing will stagnate. You cannot stand firm in trials if you only live without believing, for you will have no foundation. But when all three unite, you become a mighty instrument in my hand. You both stand firm, flow outward, and spread widely. This is the life that makes darkness retreat, makes the enemy tremble, and brings salvation to many souls. I want you to see one more thing. This union not only brings power to the individual, but to the whole community. When one person believes, receives, lives, the light shines brightly. But when an entire community does this together, the light shines across a city. Remember the early church. They believed in my Son. They received the Holy Spirit. They lived in fellowship. The result was that the gospel spread across the earth, despite persecution, despite opposition. The power of this union did not just save a few. It touched the whole world. And today I want your community to step into that power as well. My child, there is a hidden power that the world cannot comprehend when faith, receiving, and living come together. It is like three rivers joining into one great stream, waters, rising, rushing, unstoppable. Faith opens the door, receiving fills to overflowing, and living causes it to spread. When these three elements move in harmony, they shatter chains, heal wounds, restore families, and transform societies. This is my power, and I give it to you, not for you to keep for yourself alone, but that you may become an instrument of transformation. I know there are moments when you feel weak, times when you wonder if you can truly hold on to all three steps. But remember, it is my Spirit who works within you. He strengthens your faith. He expands your heart. He grants you power to live. You are not alone. The circle of believing, receiving, and living is not sustained by your strength, but by my grace. All you must do is remain in me, and this union will become reality. Step into this union with boldness. Do not choose only one part. Do not compromise with half-heartedness. Let faith take root, let receiving fill you, let your way of life shine forth. And when these three are woven together, you will witness the wonder, a life whole, powerful, and abundant, not only for yourself, but for all who are near you. My beloved, I have shown you the foundation of the union between believing, receiving, and living, and now I want you to understand more deeply the practical power of this union when it flows through your daily life. When these three blend together, they do not merely build a firm faith within your heart, but they extend into every dimension, into the very core of who you are, into the family to which you belong, and outward into the community where you are present. This is not a distant theory, but a living current that touches even the smallest details of your days. Once you taste it, you will see that nothing compares to the wholeness it brings. First, look into your own heart. One who only believes but does not receive will find that faith becomes rigid, reduced to mere concept. One who only receives but does not live will treat grace as a stored-up treasure never brought out to use. One who only tries to live without the foundation of believing and receiving will soon grow weary under the weight of self-effort. But when all three operate together, your soul is completely renewed. You have deep roots in faith, you have the living waters flowing in through receiving, and you bear fruit to give through living. Then you become steady, no longer easily swayed by words of criticism or by uncertain circumstances. You are like a tree planted by streams of water. When drought comes, it does not wither, its leaves remain green, and it bears fruit in its season. My child, when this union works within you, invisible chains will be broken. The past that once burdened you with shame will no longer bind you. Words that once wounded you will lose their grip over your mind. The fears that once controlled you will yield to peace. You will feel lighter, freer, stronger, for the life flowing in you is not of your own making, but from my inexhaustible source. My Spirit will renew your mind, grant strength to your steps, and make your faith not mere theory but lived reality. One who truly believes, receives, and lives becomes a lamp that shines even when all around is darkness. When this power touches the family, the difference becomes even clearer. Family is the place where faith must be shown most tangibly, where love is proven through action, where patience and forgiveness must become a way of life. If you believe only for yourself, your family may seldom see the change. If you receive but hold it only for yourself, the blessing will not flow out to your loved ones. If you only strive to live well by your own effort, your family may feel pressure instead of peace. But when you combine believing, receiving, and living, your family will be transformed at the root. A husband becomes gentler because he trusts in my love, receives my wisdom, and lives to serve. A wife becomes patient and serene because she places her faith in me, receives my peace, and lives to love. Children, seeing their parents truly walking in this union, will learn to believe, to receive, and to live as well. Then the atmosphere of the home becomes the atmosphere of heaven, not without storms, but with strength to endure and love to bind together. I have seen many families rebuilt by entering into this union. Spouses who thought their love had run dry when they chose together to believe, receive, and live, found again forgiveness and hope. Parents once exhausted when they allowed this union to flow were renewed to become a source of encouragement for their children. Children once confused, when raised in an environment of believing, receiving, and living, discovered that life is not only about competition, but about serving, not only about selfishness, but about sharing. Such a household becomes a living altar where I dwell, and from which my light radiates outward. And when this impact extends to the community, the power becomes unstoppable. One individual who believes, receives, and lives is a single lamp. One family who believes, receives, and lives is a cluster of lights. But when an entire community enters into this union, a whole city bursts into brightness. Remember the first church, they believed in my Son, they received the Holy Spirit, they lived in fellowship and sharing. The result was that the gospel spread throughout the earth, despite opposition, despite persecution. They did not keep their faith a secret, They did not keep their blessing for themselves, alone. They lived openly and boldly, and this shook the world. That is the power of the union. A community that believes, receives, and lives together will transform society. Justice will be revealed, truth will be honored, and love will be spread abroad. The weak will be lifted up, the grieving will be comforted, the lost will find their way home. The world is accustomed to conflict, envy, and darkness. But when the light of a united community shines, change becomes inevitable. Just as one candle can light a room, so thousands of candles can illuminate an entire city. This power does not come from human strategy, but from the sacred union I have established. Do not forget, this union creates lasting stability. One who only believes is easily shaken when trials come. One who only receives is easily cooled when circumstances change. One who only lives by self-effort soon grows weary when immediate results are not seen. But when believing, receiving, and living are woven together, it becomes a threefold cord not easily broken. It holds you steady in the storm, holds your family through hard seasons, holds a community through upheaval. It not only holds but causes all to grow and to spread like a tree planted by the stream, not only surviving the drought, but bearing fruit in its season and its leaves for the healing of the nations. I know there are days when you wonder if your life truly makes a difference. You may think you are small, that your voice is unheard, that your quiet sacrifices go unnoticed. But remember, a life of believing, receiving, and living is never in vain. Every act of love, every word of encouragement, every tear of sacrifice becomes a testimony in eternity. Others may debate theories, but they cannot deny a transformed life. This is why I call you not only to believe, not only to receive, not only to live, but to combine all three to become a living testimony, a lamp that shines, and a refreshing stream for those who thirst. I want you to understand that this power is not only for you to stand firm, but for you to become a source of influence. You are not called merely to preserve yourself, but to spread life. As you walk in this union, you will become an instrument of transformation for your surroundings. Your words will carry life, your actions will sow hope, and your presence will bring peace. This is the practical power the world needs, and I have placed it within your reach. My beloved, I want you to see the full picture, when believing, receiving, and living are no longer three separate steps, but are blended into one sacred whole. The power of this union surpasses your imagination, for it not only changes a moment, but transforms an entire journey. It not only touches a single soul, but leaves a legacy for generations to come. It not only reaches into your present life, but opens a doorway into eternity. This is the perfect circle I have drawn, the circle that never breaks, the circle that when you enter it, you will experience fullness, abundance, and power beyond understanding. When believing, receiving, and living unite, they create a symphony in which each element is a melody. Believing is the beginning, the first note, stirring the heart, awakening hope. Receiving is the continuing melody, bringing fullness, lifting the song higher, echoing far. Living is the crescendo where all sounds converge, spread and resound. If there is only believing, the song stops at the prelude. If there is only receiving, the song hangs unfinished. If there is only living without believing and receiving, the song soon fragments and loses its depth. But when all three are woven together, the symphony becomes an eternal anthem, resounding not only within your heart, but within the hearts of those you touch. Look back at the witnesses in Scripture and you will see this power of convergence. Abraham believed in the promise, he received a new name and covenant, and he lived as a pilgrim. Though he had not yet seen the fulfillment, he still walked in faith. That union made him the father of many nations. Mary believed the word of the angel. She received grace in humility, and she lived to carry and nurture the Savior. That union made her the woman called blessed. through all generations. Peter believed the words of my son. He received forgiveness after his failure, and he lived to become a pillar of the church. Had they stopped at only one part, their stories would not have been complete. But because they walked through all three, that converging power echoed through the generations, reaching even to you today. This union did not only transform their history, it longs to transform yours as well. When you step into the circle of believing, receiving, and living, you will discover that your life carries a different meaning. You will no longer see yourself through the lens of failure or limitation, but through my gaze, the one who has given you identity, power, and mission. You will no longer live merely to exist, but to leave a mark. Every step you take, every choice you make, every sacrifice you offer will become a seed sown into the field of eternity. And that seed, by the power of convergence, will yield a harvest beyond your imagination. Imagine faith as fire, receiving as oil, and living as the lamp. If there is only fire without oil, the flame will quickly die. If there is only oil without fire, all remains a dormant potential. If there is only a lamp without fire and oil, it is nothing more than a lifeless ornament. But when the fire burns, the oil is supplied, and the lamp is lit, that light will blaze forth and pierce the darkness. That is the power of union. It not only keeps you burning, but it makes you a source of light for others. When these three intertwine, their effect is no longer bound to the present, but opens into eternity. Faith binds you to me, receiving fills you with grace, and living demonstrates that reality. When you bring all three together, you are building on an eternal foundation. The works you do are not in vain, the tears you shed are not lost, the prayers you whisper are not forgotten. All is remembered in eternity, all becomes testimony. And when the day comes that you stand before me, the circle of believing, receiving, and living will have become a crown of glory, bearing witness that you did not live in vain, nor waste your days, but fulfilled the calling I placed upon you. This world is filled with those who choose only one part and think it is enough. Some keep faith hidden in their hearts, but do not open themselves to receive, nor dare to step out and live. Some rejoice in receiving, yet clutch it for themselves, letting grace become stagnant water. Some strive to live well by their own strength, but without root and without flow they soon wither. But I have not called you to live in such a way. I call you to walk the full circle, believe to have the foundation, receive to be filled, live to pour out. Only then will you truly taste the abundance I have promised. This converging power carries yet another great effect. It produces endurance beyond time. Faith alone may tremble in the storm. Receiving alone may grow cold when trials come. Living alone may be weary when fruit seems unseen. But when all three are joined, they uphold one another, they complement one another, they keep you from falling. When your faith grows weak, continuing to live and to receive will keep you standing. When you find it hard to receive, holding to faith and living faithfully will open your heart again. When you struggle to live, remembering what you have believed and what you have received will strengthen you. This is the threefold cord, not easily broken, the unshakable foundation no force can destroy. Look at the life of Paul and you will see this truth. He believed in my Son when the light shone upon him on the road to Damascus. He received the calling and grace to become an apostle to the nations. And he lived his whole life for that mission, enduring persecution, enduring imprisonment, yet never retreating. Those three elements converged, shaping a man so strong that his testimony still resounds to this day. That converging power crossed borders, outlasted generations, broke through chains and even death. And I want you to know that the very same power is available for you if you step into the circle of believing, receiving, and living. This is not merely the journey of a single lifetime, but a legacy for the generations to come. When you live fully in this union, you do not live only for yourself, but you sow seeds for those who will follow. You will leave light for the next generation to walk in. You will leave the mark of faith for them to lean on. You will leave the stream of grace for them to drink from. You will leave an example for them to see what it means to live in truth. The seeds you plant today, they will harvest tomorrow. This is the impact that goes beyond the limits of the individual, beyond time reaching into eternity. Therefore, never treat this union lightly. Do not see it as 3 separate steps, but as one continuous flow. Let faith take root. Let receiving fill you to overflowing. Let living spread the light. And when all 3 unite, you will behold the wonder, a life whole, strong, and abundant, not only for yourself, but for those around you. This is the life I promise. This is the power I give. This is the path that leads to fullness and glory. My beloved child, after you have walked through the journey of believing, receiving, and living, I want you to understand that it cannot end at mere awareness or at a few special moments, but must be practiced every day and every hour. Spiritual truth is not a ritual reserved for Sunday mornings or solemn occasions, but a stream flowing into every moment. Life and faith is not separate from the work you do, the meal you eat, the words you speak to your loved ones, or the steps you take along the road. All of it can become the place where you practice, where you continue to grow in my presence. Daily practice is the bridge that turns what you have believed, received, and lived into the rhythm of your breath, so that no day passes without meaning. Begin with the simplest of things, an awareness of my presence. Do not wait for a great event to remember me. In the most ordinary tasks, keep your heart turned toward me. When you open your eyes in the morning, whisper a word of thanks. When you eat a piece of bread, drink a sip of water, remember that it is a gift from my hand. When you meet a friend or a coworker, let your smile and your gaze reflect my kindness. Daily practice is not about adding new burdens, but about noticing the small details, recognizing that I am present in every circumstance, and allowing your heart to move in step with mine. You must also learn to pause in stillness. The world is full of noise, and your heart is easily swept into its restless current. If you do not create spaces of silence, my voice will be drowned out. Daily practice means making room, even just a few minutes, to step aside, to breathe deeply, to listen, to let your spirit be renewed. In that stillness, you will hear my whisper, the gentle reminder, the comforting word, the guiding voice. Do not dismiss these small moments, for it is in them that peace and strength flow, equipping you to face a day full of trials. My child, daily practice means letting faith touch even the smallest decisions. When you must choose your words, choose to speak encouragement rather than bitterness. When you must choose your actions, choose to act in love rather than selfishness. When you face temptation, remember the truth you have believed and the blessing you have received. Every small decision, though it may seem insignificant, helps shape your character and your soul. Daily practice is not about grand and lofty deeds, but about a chain of small, steady choices that accumulate into transforming power. Learn to see others through my eyes. In your family, in your work, in society, you will meet people who are pleasant and those who are difficult. If you look only with natural eyes, you will react with emotions, you will lose patience, you will grow resentful. But if you look through my lens, you will see that they too are my beloved creation. When you practice daily by striving to love as I love, to forgive as I forgive, to be patient as I am patient, you are turning believing, receiving, and living into reality. Though you are not perfect, every time you choose love over hatred, forgiveness over resentment, patience over anger, you are walking in true transformation. My child, daily practice also includes keeping a grateful heart. Gratitude is not merely saying thank you on special occasions, but a way of life. When you open your eyes and find that you can still breathe, that is reason enough to give thanks. When you walk and your legs are still strong, when you have food and clothing, when you have someone to speak with, all is grace. A thankful heart keeps you from sinking into complaint, from drowning in bitterness, and preserves joy even in hardship. Practicing gratitude every day will soften your heart, brighten your eyes, and fill your soul with joy. Daily practice is also shown through learning to surrender. You often want to control everything, yet your strength has limits. When you begin entrusting even the smallest matters to me, your work, your finances, your relationships, you will feel a greater lightness in your soul. Do not wait until a crisis comes before you call on me. Learn instead to say, Lord, I place this into your hands in the smallest details of life. As you train your heart to surrender daily, you will begin to see that I am the one guiding all things. Your faith will be strengthened, and peace will take the place of anxiety. Remember that daily practice is also about learning to remain in the present. Many times you are bound by the chains of the past or consumed with worry about the future, and in doing so, you miss the very moment before you. But it is in the present that I meet you, in the present that my grace is poured out, and in the present that transformation unfolds. Learn to savor each moment, to let your heart grow still, and to recognize that I am here now. Do not let your mind chase after what has not yet come, nor be weighed down by what has already passed. Each day lived in my presence is a day made whole, and as those days accumulate, your life becomes a sacred journey filled with meaning. Do not think of daily practice as a burden you must carry by your own effort. It is the process by which the Holy Spirit works within you. He is the one who strengthens you, who reminds you, who teaches you at every step. You cannot do this on your own, but when you open your heart, He gently leads you. Let Him whisper when you are about to speak words that hurt. Let Him restrain you when you are tempted to make hasty choices. Let Him comfort you when you grow weary. Daily practice is learning to be sensitive to His guidance and to let Him rule every part of your life. And do not forget, daily practice also means perseverance. Not every day will feel inspiring, not every day will look like progress. There will be days when you stumble, when you fail, when you feel far from me. But do not be disheartened. Rise again, return again, and keep moving forward. Just as physical training requires constancy, so does the training of the soul. Each day you persevere, even in small ways you are being changed. And there will come a day when you look back and realize how far you have traveled from where you began. It is the perseverance of daily practice that brings lasting transformation. I call you to begin today at this very moment. Do not wait until everything feels perfect before you begin. Do not wait for leisure to appear before you practice. Right in the work at hand, right in the relationships you are holding, right in the circumstance you now face. Let faith receiving and living be revealed. Let daily practice become the rhythm of your breath, so that no day slips by in vain, but each bears the imprint of my presence. And I promise you this, when you are faithful in the small things, I will give you strength to face the great. When you persevere day by day, you will see your whole life transformed. This is the path by which you step into the fullness I have already prepared for you. My child, daily practice is not a rigid chain of duties, but a natural rhythm when your heart beats in harmony with mine. Many think spiritual practice happens only in the church in long hours of prayer or on special occasions. But the truth is, every moment of life can become the place of my presence and the place where you are trained. When you work, when you walk on the road, when you speak with others, even when you rest, each moment can become an opportunity to practice. Daily practice is to make the sacred ordinary and the ordinary sacred until your whole life becomes an unending song of praise to me. In the tasks of daily life, it is easy to forget that I am with you. Pressures, responsibilities, competition, and the voices of the world can sweep you into their current and rob you of peace. But daily practice means remembering that every act you do can become worship. When you work with integrity, you honor me. When you complete your tasks with diligence, you offer them to me. When you treat your colleagues with fairness and kindness, you reflect my mercy. Do not imagine that only religious acts please me. Even the smallest deed done with a heart turned toward me carries eternal weight. And in your relationships, daily practice is all the more vital. You will meet those who bring you joy, but also those who wound you. If you only react by instinct, you will easily fall into resentment, anger, or withdrawal. But when you learn to see others through my eyes, a new vision emerges. The one who frustrates you is still a soul longing for love. The one who hurts you is themselves carrying deep wounds. The stranger you find hard to approach is still someone I love with an everlasting love. When you practice seeing with my eyes, your heart grows softer, your words gentler, your actions more patient. Daily practice in relationships is letting my love flow through you, even when it costs your own comfort. I know there will be days of trial, days when you want to give up and stop practicing altogether. When your prayers seem unanswered, when your labor wears you down, when you are misunderstood or betrayed, you may ask, does this practice still matter? Yet it is precisely in such days that your perseverance reveals its strength. Daily practice does not mean constant inspiration. It means steadfastness, even when you see no immediate fruit. Just as a seed lies hidden in winter soil before spring awakens it to life, so your patience in barren seasons opens the way for a harvest of blessing. Remember that daily practice is not only in what you do, but in the posture of your heart. When you keep a spirit of gratitude, you are practicing. When you choose to forgive, you are practicing. When you pause to pray, instead of worrying, you are practicing. When you choose to believe my word rather than the voices of despair, you are practicing. Each small choice shapes your soul like drops of water filling a great vessel. You may not notice the change at once, but over time your heart will soften, your eyes will grow clearer, and your life will reflect more of my likeness. I want you to learn to find practice in silence and simplicity. You may think you need great deeds, fervent prayers, or public displays to live a life of faith, but often it is the quiet moments that carry the greatest strength. When you sit in stillness and let your mind rest in my presence, that is practice. When you lift thanksgiving as you behold the sky and hear the song of birds, that is practice. When you choose to play with your children, to listen to your loved ones, and to let love overflow, that too is practice. Daily practice is not an added burden, but a way of seeing my presence woven into every simple moment. In your daily practice, you must also learn to resist temptation with steadfastness. The world will never cease to present its invitations, its false glitter to draw you away. But when you train each day to stand firm in the truth, your strength will grow. You need not wait for great temptations to prepare. It is by conquering the smaller ones that you build the strength to withstand the greater trials. Each time you choose truth over deceit, you are training. Each time you choose honesty over compromise, you are training. Each time you choose temperance over indulgence, you are training. These small victories accumulate into a great strength that will sustain you in the day of evil. I want you to know that daily practice is the way to experience true peace. Peace does not arrive when every circumstance is calm, but when you know that I am with you in every circumstance. When you focus on practicing instead of being consumed with worry about the future or clinging to the past, you will feel a lightness surrounding your soul. Each small act directed toward me is like a brick building a fortress of peace around you. And when storms come, you will find yourself secure, for that fortress was not built in a day, but day by day, step by step, decision by decision. Remember, too, that daily practice is the way you step into true joy. The world seeks joy in fleeting pleasures and in momentary successes, but that joy soon fades. True joy flows from living in my presence each day. When you give thanks for the smallest blessing, when you feel peace in the midst of hardship, when you smile even in imperfection, that joy cannot be taken from you. It does not depend on circumstances, but on knowing that you are walking with me daily. I call you to persevere in this practice. Do not lose heart when you stumble. Do not think that a day when you forget to pray or a moment when you let emotions overtake you renders everything meaningless. I look at the journey not only at a single moment. Each time you return, you may begin again. Each time you fall, you may rise. Each time you are weak, my grace is sufficient for you. What matters is that you do not give up. With perseverance, little by little, transformation will come, and one day you will see that you have become someone new, steadier, more loving, and stronger in spirit. My beloved child, when you understand that daily practice is the way to let believing, receiving, and living become your constant rhythm, I want you to see that it is not merely a series of repeated actions, but a lifelong way of living, a heritage you leave for yourself and for generations to come. Daily practice is not forced labor, but the natural overflow of a heart that loves me. Just as someone in love carries the beloved in every small detail and longs to express that love in gestures and words, so love makes the practice natural. Love for me will cause you not to see practice as a burden, but as a delight. Oh child, I know there will be days when you feel too weary to continue. There will be times when you feel as if you are repeating the same acts without result. But remember, daily practice is not about earning merit before me. It is about keeping your heart in connection. You are like a gardener who waters and tends the soil day after day, even when no shoots are yet visible. Through such faithfulness in time, the tree grows blossoms and bears fruit. If you care for it once and abandon it, the tree will wither. Daily practice is the continual care of your soul, that it may remain green in every season. Daily practice is even more vital in times of trial. When storms rise, your mind may falter, your heart may waver. It is the spiritual habits nourished daily that keep you standing firm. When you are accustomed to lifting prayers each morning, then in the darkest hour you will know what to do. When you are accustomed to reading and treasuring my words, then in difficulty you will have promises to hold on to. When you are accustomed to seeking stillness in my presence, then in chaos you will still hear my whisper. Daily practice is like building your house upon the rock. When the rains fall and the winds beat, it stands unmoved because its foundation was laid long before. Practice must also be expressed in seasons of waiting. There are times when you pray and see no answer, when the passage of time tempts your heart to despair. Yet in these seemingly uneventful days, faithful practice keeps the flame within you from going out. Each prayer, each offering, each act of love, however small, is a brick in the structure of faith. When you persevere in waiting, you declare that your trust is not in visible outcomes, but in my faithfulness. And when the promise is fulfilled, you will look back and see that it was daily practice that sustained you through the long trial. Do not practice only in sorrow, practice also in joy. Joy can make you forget me, for in such moments you may think you need no help, but learn to lift thanksgiving in the midst of joy, to give glory to me in success, to share your blessings with others. Daily practice in joy will keep you humble, guarding you from pride. It will remind you that every good gift comes from me, and in this way your joy will endure, not turning into arrogance or dependence on material things. In the same way, in sorrow, daily practice will become a source of comfort. When you experience loss, when tears fall, when you feel empty, it is the habits built beforehand that will uphold you. A familiar hymn, a remembered verse of Scripture, a simple prayer, all of these will become the cord that ties you to hope. Daily practice does not prevent sorrow, but it keeps you from being swallowed by the darkness. It reminds you that I am still here, that you still belong to me, that though the night may linger, light will come in the morning. My child, daily practice also opens the door for you to leave a legacy for the next generation. You may think that your small actions are unseen, but your loved ones are watching. Your children will learn how to live in faith, not only through what you say, but through how you practice each day. Your friends and community will be shaped not only by the sermons you hear, but by the life you live. When you are faithful in prayer, forgiveness, love, and surrender, you are planting seeds that will bear fruit in the lives of others. A generation will be built upon the daily examples of the one before. This is the sacred inheritance. You can leave behind a heritage more enduring than wealth or fame. Remember that daily practice must be joined with softness of heart. If you turn it into a rigid law, it will become dry and meaningless. But if you practice with love, every act will be filled with life. When you pray, do not merely recite words, but let your heart speak to me. When you read the word, do not only see the letters, but let truth pierce your soul. When you love, do not act from duty alone, but let love flow from your depths. Daily practice is not meant to bind, but to free. Not to burden, but to bring peace. Know this daily practice will accompany you until your final breath. In youth, it keeps you pure. In maturity, it keeps you wise. In old age, it keeps you in peace. And when you are preparing to leave this world, the years of daily practice will become the treasure that sustains you. In that hour, the habits of prayer, gratitude, and trust will not leave you, but will be like a river, carrying you into my eternal presence. This is a journey that does not end in this life, but continues into eternity. Therefore, I call you to continue walking in daily practice. Do not let a single day pass without the imprint of faith, of receiving, and of living in reflection of me. Do not think that small acts have no value. It is they that build the eternal temple. Do not lose heart when you stumble. Rise and continue. Do not boast when you succeed much. Be humble, and remember all comes from me. Daily practice is the sure path to keep you in the light, to draw you nearer to me, and to transform your life into a living testimony of my power and love. Thank you for listening to today's message. Please subscribe and turn on the notification bell so we may continue receiving the living word together, building firm faith, and walking in the boundless love of the Lord. Amen.